It's me, Daddy Dragon, otherwise known as Graham Moore. Sapper69, first in the chat, I can see. Good evening, Graham and Patriots. Julian, listen, I've just went to my local boozer. Remember that boozer I said to you, where they sell meat on a Tuesday night? I have just had, and you're going to have to excuse me while I eat this, right? I got, the pub was packed, right? Because a local butcher from the local farm that only accepts cash, the pub only accepts cash, they're literally telling the British to fuck off, right? Let me tell you something, the pub was packed, waiting for the meat to come in. It was like all the local people have gone into this place. I think first time I've been up here for the meat. What's the code? And they said, he'll come in and put it on your table. I said, oh, I'll move. Well, you tell me and I'll move. Right. So the governor come out and started wiping down the table. I said, all right, I'll get up. Went over, right? This meat was a nuts. The butcher said to me, I bought 2 steaks. I bought a few more bits, right? My weekly meat, right, just come to 40 quid. And then someone else said to me, do you like eggs? I said, yeah. And they said, you need to go down this other place. You go over the bridge, over the river, go down some country lanes and you'll see this place. And you can buy free range, proper. He said, they're not allowed to sell it to supermarkets. I said, what are they? He went, double yolk eggs, right? Completely fresh from that day's eggs, right? He said, just go and buy them eggs. And he said, you won't buy them from anywhere else, right? I haven't bought them yet. I'm going to go out and see if I can find them tomorrow. But the point being, right, I don't know. If you're not taking liberties, when I say liberties, and it shouldn't really be, should it? That if you go and get the best fillet steak ever, and the butcher said to me about this steak, he said, I actually cut them 2 pieces for someone else, right? They're not here. And he said, it's like a full fat piece of steak, right? He said, if you cook that, fry that, do whatever you want to do with it. He said, that steak will be absolutely superb. Well, I love meat, right? And then they've got all other stuff. I bought some other bits and pieces. But so my meat for the week. And don't forget, I'm still used to actually, my sister said to me, are you still in holiday mode rather than not understanding that you live there? And I said, sort of. I said, but the people are now starting to realise that I live here. So I went in the pub. As soon as I walked in the pub, they was like, oh, it's Graham. Right? Women sat down. No one, like, they was all having a chat and a laugh and all that. I swear to God, the pub was packed. Right? No music on. Everyone's just gone in there to buy the meat. That is how England should be, and that's how England should support the farmers. Give them their cash, because they're supplying you with the food, right? What I've got there is a Scotch egg that is the absolute dog's bollocks, right? I've just ate one on the way back, and I ate something else on the way back as well, but only because I was hungry, and I didn't want to. I wanted to make sure my appetite. Look at that egg, look. So you'll have to excuse me for having a munch when I do the first part of the show. Everyone should now start realising that England is taking their nation back. Right? You're seeing it. Do you remember how many of us went out before? Do you remember when we done the flag swap in Trafalgar Square, where we took a big black bags and we were saying to people, we will swap you for your English flag, give us your Union flag, and we put it in the bin, right? Not in the bin, but in a black bin liner. We took them away, and we explained to people what England meant, right, to the people. That's exactly what we're doing. Are you all seeing and hearing me at the moment? Because this Scotch egg is they should call them English eggs, because that's pork, an English egg wrapped in pork. It's nuts. Let me just make sure everyone's not right. Now what I want to do, hit the English flag, right? Rumble is the only place that allows us to put the English flag out there for everyone to see. So what I want to do now, if I can remember how to do it, is put that English flag out there, right? So everyone can see this is an English channel, right? That doesn't mean we disrespect the Scots, the Welsh, the Irish, the Cornish, or anyone else, right? England is under attack, and we need to raise the English flag, right? Everywhere. So at the moment, we've got a number of people that have put out there on Twitter a particular, let me make sure I'm sorting this out properly, emblem, and it is sack the Jack and bring back George, right? Or words to that effect. Let me see if I can find it on Twitter for you, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I'm not sure if I can find it, Joe. Sack. And I need everyone to do this individually. So you need to get the emblem, sack the Jack, right? And there it is on the screen, right? I'm going to show you this on the screen, and then everyone will say to me, I just see it today and thought that is the absolute dog's bollocks, right? That is a simple message that communicates to everyone. All you need is sack the Jack, right? Sack the Jack, bring George back. Sack the Jack, bring George back. Sack the Jack, bring George back. What have I been telling you, everyone, right? Now, there is a slight reversal. Some people will be saying to me, that's not our original English flag. Listen, one step at a time, right? One step at a time. But can you all see that on your screen? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There it is on the screen. Let me see if I can find it for you. Oh, copy link. So tomorrow night, excuse me, Ben Habib will be on Andy the Gabby Cabby show on YouTube, right? And people need to start expressing exactly what they're doing, right? People need to get on that live stream tomorrow night. So I'm not 100% sure whether I'll be doing a show tomorrow night because it goes out at 8 o'clock. Everyone needs to be on that stream tomorrow night and say, Ben, what about England, right? Sack the Jack, bring George back, right? Now, one of our group, I won't say which person because I don't want to embarrass them, come out with this slogan, come out with that, think about the roundabouts, thinking about everything there. I just drove over a roundabout coming back into this small town that I'm living in Devon, right? And it was a lovely white roundabout. And I thought, you know what that needs? That needs the English flag written right across it, right? I don't want to start doing too much at the moment, but people are definitely understanding what is going on. So there it is. What I'm going to do, you need to copy that image, right? So don't just retweet it. if you're on Twitter yourself, retweet it now and then send it to Ben Habib. Sack the Jack, bring George back, right? But you need to send it individually. So somehow you need to go on there, copy it, right? It's not difficult. You just right click it, copy image, right? And then send it to him, right? And you will see it. And that's all I'm saying to you. Let me go back. He's just sent me them details. Right? So everyone should understand, stop sharing, right? What I'm talking about. Now what I'm going to do briefly, I'm going to throw this in there. Paste. And then send it out to all. Right? There's the image. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about? You are the people that have pushed this and pushed this and pushed this. Forget all these other channels, right? The other channels are coming on board, and they're coming on board because of what you have achieved, not what I have achieved, because we work as a team, right? And there is no I in team. We achieved the push through for the English, right? I am about English law. I am about England, unashamedly about England. And everyone now is starting to see the fruition of what we've been doing. Never surrender. Keep pushing forward and people will notice who you are, right? Never surrender your identity as a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? It is not racist to say that. Our own constitution protects the Protestant religion. We are an indigenous nation of white people. That doesn't mean we don't accept others coming in, but you accept our culture, right? And if you don't like our culture, Foxtrot Oscar. It's as simple as that, right? So to the people of Devon who have, again, reignited my passion for England, not that it needed much reigniting, I've got to tell you, but everyone I've spoke to in this place, bar one, I believe, who come out with some nonsense. Everyone is getting the message. And more people are understanding what is going on, right? Some people are still on this thing about Trump being a bad guy. He ain't, right? So one of the things that I want to show you tonight, hopefully, if I can bring it up on the screen, is hopefully that's not going to be shared with anyone. But people are now sharing this out and getting it out there, right? Sack the Jack, bring George back, right? So the lefties have always had this say no to right, whatever they say, right? Sack the Jack, bring George back, right? That is the chant of the English. Sack the Jack, bring George back. Once that's achieved and everyone around the country is doing it, that's when we'll go on a bit further. Let me just have a quick look and see if I can change the image, right? I just thought I'll find something that's quite funny on my screen, right? Here it goes. And it should go live with that screen. If it doesn't, we'll see what happens, right? Well, I'll have a look at that. Now, that's another screenshot, right, coming off of my phone, but I'll have to look up there to have a look at it. I could try and work it so it comes just off the back, right? But tell me what screen you think is better. That's my iPhone, believe it or not. It says, do you want to use your iPhone camera or do you want to use your FaceTime camera? I've had to take the other Pro camera off at the moment. But we're getting there. Need to get some car stickers made up. Slimming. That's what we need to do, right? But people need to understand exactly what is going on. Let me click back to that. So I've gone back to my normal screen. So I'm going to eventually, the studio will have 2 or 3 different screens and everyone's setting up. I might even set one up, me showing me cooking a nice bit of pork. Whether they be pork chops or pork sausages with honey and whatever else is in it, right? but you'll be able to get there and understand exactly what we're doing, right? But we are winning, and that's what people have got to understand. So what I'm going to do now is try, hopefully, and bring in. Where did I bring it in for? I'll tell you what I've got to do. I've got to bring in. Let me try and bring in WhatsApp, and we will be going to the pub again on Fridays, but I've got to set all that up in here. So the pub's coming back, everything's coming back. While Trump is out there doing what he's got to do for us, we've got to make sure that we can do as much as possible to get the message out there. He's not the bad guy, he's the good guy, right? So I've got to make sure I can bring that up. WhatsApp web. Let's see if this works. I'll bet you any money you like. It says can't find the site. All right. I knew it was going to do that. Oh, hang on a minute. WhatsApp.com. Right, and now we're going to go to, not the download, but we want to go to the normal everyday app. For business, for blog, for privacy. Log in. And if this works, I should be able to show you the video that I wanted to show you for 15 minutes. It's now, it says loading your chat. Right. And then Thursday, I've got a meeting with someone. And then this Saturday, I'm in Bournemouth. And hopefully we'll talk to a number of different people. There's a number of people. Let me see if I can put this on there. Let me make sure I can get this right. I actually put it on the pin. It was put on the pin messages. Anyone got that tweet that I put out? On the tweet messages, put it out there. Trump is about to rewrite federal history. He just targeted a 50-year-old demolition. That's right. And there was another one, which is there's a tweet that I put out, and I said, put that on the thing. It's not showing because it's on the WhatsApp thing. Post it in the Full English Show moderators, and I'll be able to show it to people. But I want people to understand what this is. So this is going in reverse order of what we're doing, right? And this is absolute truth. I'm not sure if that's the right one that I put in today. I can't get it all on there. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can bring it on. Let me see if I can put it on there. 2019. I don't know what that is. NASDAQ. No. So there was another one. That's the right. There's two separate things that I wanted to specifically talk about tonight. One of them was in relation to what they've done. Let me have a quick look. See if I can bring it in. This is, and there's another one as well, right? But I'm going to bring this in first, right? People don't realise what he's actually doing, right? So he is not engaged at all with the deep state, right? And you need to be careful about what they're doing. I think you can see this on your screen, right? So here's a thread, and there's another one that I need to go and find. I'll bring it up in a couple of minutes, right? He just targeted a 55-year-old law for demolition. Stocks exploded 42% overnight. Forget AI, forget tariffs. Here's the 63 billion industry. Remember 63 billion as an industry. Remember trillions that allegedly they're in debt because of this system that has been imposed upon them, meaning the American people, right? Forget AI, forget tariffs. Here's 63 industry Trump's about to unleash, right? And here's the thread. Cannabis is classified as a Schedule 1, the strictest bracket, zero medical value, says the federal government. Yet 40 states have medical marijuana programs. This is where it gets twisted, right? So without putting that on there, I just want to go through these brief ones, right? Federally, vendors are treated as drug traffickers. Only 250 of the 4,700 banks will touch them. 60% operate entirely in cash, right? They haul duffel bags of money to pay taxes. They actually pay taxes, right? They haul duffel bags of tax. And that's not even the worst part, right? There's a tax code called 280E. It bans Schedule 1 businesses from deducting normal expenses, no write-offs for rent, payroll, or marketing, right? So in other words, it was one of the most disabled businesses out there, right? Tax-wise. And if you still earn a profit after all of that, you are a very good business. In other words, the market is saying this is what we want. And the government is saying, no, you can't have it, right? Write-offs for rent, payroll, or marketing. Trollivier reports 60 to 80% effective tax rates. Then Trump rewrote history, right? This is really important. Everyone should understand this. We're going to look at rescheduling marijuana. He promised a decision within weeks, but the market spoke instantly. Village farms, right, local people, stock explodes 42% in hours. Investors understand what's at stake now, right? And everyone should understand this, right? When you deregulate a business and you allowed it to become mainstream, the best growers, right? And I'm not suggesting in English law that I've ever grown cannabis, but when you talk about rhino filters, hydroponics, and the various different ways of growing cannabis, you will hone the skill set exactly as it should be for medicinal, for home use, for recreational use, for all the uses that you ever want imagined, right? This is a herb, and people need to understand, just to make sure I'm clear on this, I do not smoke cannabis. It gives me heart palpitations for various reasons. The other thing it does, it gives me, is there a polite way of saying this? I'll pull out of bed if I smoke cannabis, right? So it's just different gravy, right? But it also gives me heart palpitations. Remember, Prohibition ended in 1933, and Auschwitz Siegelman's motion. Early investors created generational wealth. Online gambling followed the same playbook. Remember, I was a bookmaker, right? DraftKings went from startup to 20 billion. Here's a fascinating bit, right? Cannabis dwarfs both those markets. Legal sales already hit 30 billion annually. The illicit market, another 60 billion. That's 90 billion waiting for federal clarity. And I just want to make sure I'm clear on this to the English, right? If you've ever seen a pent-up nation, a pent-up demand for England to be England again and for the English to rise, you understand a pent-up market. Ben Habib doesn't get that, right? Rupert Lowe doesn't get that. But one person who gets this is without a doubt President Donald Trump, right? Top players are already positioning Curaleaf, Trugaline, Green Thump Industries, Crescendo Labs, Verona Holdings, right? This is where we need to take the best of the best and start a cannabis business in England, right? So I'm going to stop sharing that for a second. I'm going to try and go back to this, right? It's really important that people understand what he's doing. Let me have a look and see where else I'm going with this. I can't see it, but it was earlier on my link. So people need to send it to me on the moderators. That's not the one. Do you have the links? It will be using an insurance. You could but share them on here for the show. That is, it's a big reminder to put show. Right, that's one of the things. There was another one, and I need to go and find it. Right, so this is the one that I wanted to show you all. In fact, I'm going to go up a bit and show you if I can find this here. Right, and not only that, our friend who could no. I've got to try and find this. We will get there. Let me try and find you this project. Alleged chemical. Let me have a look and see if I can find it again. There it is. I found it. Copy. Right. So what I'm going to do now is hopefully put this back on our system. Right. Now I'm going to show you something that the whole show was supposed to be about. Right. I'll put it on there and see if I can click it on there. 2 seconds. Right, here it is. So what I'm going to do now, former CI MJ Truths. So sitting here, my back, don't like messing about with this. Let me take that back off. Hit the English flag, everyone. It's important because this is the only place that shows the English flag. No one else shows it. Right, so we've got all this. This is a pretty major what's going on at the moment, right? So what I'm going to do is show you this on the screen, right? So again, the former CI operations officer and Air Force veteran Gary Bernstein blows a whistle. Smartmatic and Dominion are foreign controlled and changing election outcomes. That's exactly what happened with Sadiq Khan in London, right? London has been taken over through absolute fraud, right? Trillions. Oh, blimey, it's gone pear-shaped on me. Let's see if I can get back on this. Hang on a minute. I'll keep doing this wrong. Right, so I'm going to show it on the screen a second. And let's see if I can go back to it. Apologies, everyone. Right, so you're seeing this on the screen. Smartmatic 2020, 2023, the Venezuelan government become partner of Bitra Smartmatic. Remember that George Galloway supports Venezuela. The government of Venezuela acquires 28% of the electoral software developer company. Omar Montilla, board member representing Venezuelan government, 28% of the software development company. And this is where the Fabian Society and the Muslim Brotherhood come together as one, right? And again, Ben Habib doesn't get this, right? I think Rupert Lowe gets it. which is why he's involved with a cross-party movement rather than a political party, because it's much more difficult to get political parties because they accept us, by the way, because we're just about the English Constitution and about England. Smartmatic by Sequinja Voting Systems at its American subsidiary on March the 9th, 2005, right? Remember when constitutionally we had a large amount of vandalism with the Constitutional Reform Act in 2005, right? The European Union Electoral Commission established that Smartmatic sales source code is owned by the Venezuelan government. 2006, a Democratic Congresswoman, Caroline Maloney, requested an investigation by CFIUS on Smartmatic securing Venezuelan government ownership. 2006, sorry, again, this gets a bit technical, but it ain't really that technical. All you need to understand is this is owned by these people. And what I'm going to do now is bring this up on the screen, and I hope you can hear it.
Hello, my name is Gary Burnson. I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force and a retired senior operations officer and chief of station of the Central Intelligence Agency. For over 3 decades, I served in the U.S. national security apparatus in various capacities. Shortly after the attacks of 11 September 2001, I entered Afghanistan and commanded CIA paramilitary forces, helping seize the cities of Talokan and the capital of Afghanistan, Kabul. I was the driving force and architect of the Battle of Tora Bora. I held the position as chief of Hezbollah operation in CIA's counterterrorism center for several years and concluded my service in CIA as a chief of station in Latin America combating narco-terrorists. Approximately 6 years ago, a business associate and I began working together as whistleblowers for the Department of Justice, FBI, DEA, and Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. Our target was the largest and most well-funded transnational criminal organization on the planet, called the Cartel del Sol, Cartel of the Sun. The Cartel del Sol is the Venezuelan government and is led by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, Diosdado Cabello, Minister of Defense Vladimir Lopez Padrino, President of the National Assembly Jorge Rodriguez, and former Director General of Military Counterintelligence Hugo Carbajal, who was detained in Spain several years ago and extradited to New York. He is currently awaiting trial for narco trafficking. Venezuelan President Maduro has a U.S. indictment and bounty of U.S. $15 million for his capture. Diosdado Cabello has U.S. indictment and a $10 million bounty on his head. At least 6 other Venezuelan cabinet members and senior officials are indicted. In the last 20 years, the Cartel del Sol has stolen $1 trillion from Venezuela's national oil company, PDVSA, and embezzled $500 billion from its national treasury. It not only has, but continues to produce and smuggle 25 to 40 metric tons of cocaine every month out of its country into the world. The Cartel del Sol is a $2 trillion transnational criminal organization and the most well-resourced criminal syndicate in history. Through bribery and investments of its funds, it controls 12 countries and world leaders. It has massive investments in the US and European financial markets and institutions. As we conducted investigations against the Cartel del Sol and presented them one after another to the US Department of Justice, we noticed and pursued leads from the cartel's money laundering operations to the world of non-governmental organizations and election companies. After witnessing election irregularities associated with the 2020 U.S. presidential election, we decided to direct time and resources to Cartel del Sol links to U.S. and global election fraud. After an exhaustive 3.5-year investigation, it is indisputable. Smartmatic Election Systems was created at the direction of now deceased Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chavez and its source code, the basis of its operating system, developed jointly by Venezuela's Consejo Nacional Electoral and Smartmatic, was designed to allow election results to be altered without the knowledge of voters and the public. Additionally, the Venezuelan CNE holds ownership of Smartmatic's source code. Each time the Venezuelan CNE and Smartmatic update the source code, a copy of it is stored at the vault at the Venezuelan Central Bank. In 2005, a European Union electoral observation mission to Venezuela published a report stating the Venezuelan regime owns Smartmatic source code. The Venezuelan government signed that report as factual. Smartmatic's first election in Venezuela was the 2003 recall election of Hugo Chavez. The CNE director at the time, Jorge Rodriguez, at the direction of the Cuban Directorate General of Intelligence, DGI, hired 3 Venezuelan American computer engineers that were graduates of Simón Bolívar University, a Venezuelan university linked to the U.S. university MIT. They had already registered a software company in Delaware and opened an office for it in Boca Raton. The engineers, Antonio Mujica, Roger Peñate, and Alfredo Anzola, established Smartmatic at the direction of the Venezuelan regime, built the source code, and flew off to Italy to buy lottery machines from Olivetti to serve as election hardware. They succeeded in altering enough votes to ensure Hugo Chavez's victory in the recall election. Secure in power, President Chavez decided to weaponize this capability beyond Venezuela's border. Smartmatic would enter into the U.S. election market in Cook County, Illinois, and the state of New Jersey for Democratic Party primary races in 2006. In 2005, Smartmatic orchestrated the purchase of Sequoia Voting Systems, Inc., a U.S. company. Sequoia was a company that had conducted elections in the U.S. for over 100 years and had a 22% market share of the U.S. electoral market. Approximately 18 months later, the Committee on Foreign Investments in the United States, CFIUS, began investigating the ownership of Smartmatic because of Smartmatic's Venezuelan connection. Smartmatic immediately put its source code in the machines, in the Sequoia machines. Smartmatic tried to conceal its Venezuelan connection by hiring a former U.S. naval officer, Jack Blaine, to set up a holding company, SVS Holding, to place its ownership of Sequoia in stock. In December 2006, Smartmatic entered into an agreement with CFIUS to sell Sequoia in 6 months. Antonio Mujica, one of the 3 original founders, then found a little-known election company in Toronto, Canada, Dominion Election Systems, that had only managed one small local election in Toronto. He arranged for Dominion to purchase Sequoia. Dominion, owned by John Polis, with that purchase of Sequoia, would inherit the licensing agreement for Smartmatic's source code, the source code owned by the Venezuelan regime, i.e. the Cartel del Sol. To be clear, Smartmatic and Dominion would ultimately sign an agreement that provided Dominion with the U.S. market and Smartmatic the international global market. The only 2 exceptions are that Smartmatic does elections in Los Angeles County and Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was an issue they ultimately settled in court. In Caracas, in a building owned by the CNE, the Consejo Nacional Electoral, more than 100 software engineers, half from the CNE and half from Smartmatic, worked side by side. Their effort for more than a decade was to perfect the techniques of altering elections and defeating audit. In 2018, Smartmatic publicly, and with the approval of the Venezuelan regime, broke with the regime, the Cartel del Sol, because the Venezuelan CNE's theft of an election was so egregious. The techniques of the source code and machine operate and conceal a theft of an election when the spread of the candidates is between up to the 3 to 5 percentage points. As sophisticated as the machine is, it can be defeated with significant turnout against it. The recent 2024 election in Venezuela was also so blatantly stolen, and the machine could not conceal that massive spread either. In its place, a company called Xclay took Smartmatic's place as the election provider in Venezuela. Allowing Smartmatic to exit Venezuela in this fictitious manner allowed the regime to retain its power and influence over the global electoral market. Smartmatic built a production facility for electronic voting equipment hardware just outside Beijing, China, and then shipped the hardware to a warehouse in Taiwan. In violation of US law, the hardware was marked as manufactured in Taiwan and shipped to both Smartmatic and Dominion for use in US elections. Dominion Voting Systems manages elections in almost all the swing states in the US, which determines who wins the presidency. We have evidence and witnesses that can prove the source code operating the election machines of both Smartmatic and Dominion and other election companies are owned by the Venezuelan narco regime. We have evidence and witnesses proving the machines are manufactured in the People's Republic of China. Every citizen needs to be asking, where's the DOJ, FBI, CISA, and where's the CIA? Is anyone in the national security apparatus defending our democracy or enforcing the law? And if that isn't enough to convince you there's a major problem, Dominion, in an additional step to conceal its manipulation of U.S. elections, moved its research and development and servers, which store swing state voting information, to its office in Belgrade, Serbia. In the Belgrade office, Venezuelan, Chinese, and Serbian software engineers maintain system administrator status over swing state elections and alter elections as directed by the Cartel del Sol, the Cuban DGI, and the Chinese CCP. The facility and its personnel are protected by Serbia's counterintelligence service. Swing state voter information is saved on Huawei servers in Dominion's Belgrade office. These servers are linked to Huawei servers in Hong Kong, China. For years, the U.S. national security apparatus has identified Huawei and its technology as a threat to U.S. national security. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, a component of the United States Department of Homeland Security, is responsible for cybersecurity and infrastructure across all levels of government. CISA has 3,100 employees and a $2.9 billion budget. In 2020, when faced with calls to address election irregularities, CISA did a conference call with Smartmatic and Dominion in order to better able to address the public's concerns and assure everyone that there had been no irregularities. Yes, it's shocking. CISA decided to consult the criminals in order to respond to the American public's outcry. In August 2024, 3 current and former executives of Smartmatic were indicted in Florida in connection with bribery during the 2016 election in the Philippines. Among those arrested executives is Roger Piñate, one of the 3 founders and current president of Smartmatic. Roger Piñate paid $8.5 million in bail. What the public will soon learn is that the bribery paid in the case was not to obtain a contract. The bribery was paid to alter election results. We have the CNE source code, the source code employed by Smartmatic, Dominion, and others. We will surrender it to appropriate authorities. Source code, like DNA, can easily be matched with other systems to prove that they are from the same family. In this particular case, it is a family of altering elections. 2 years ago, we briefed a senior FBI agent in Washington, D.C. That agent, after seeing our 3-hour presentation with corporate ownership documents, engineering specifications, and witness statements, told us to flee Washington, D.C., that the FBI would actively work to destroy our efforts and seek ways to prosecute us in order to stop our investigative efforts. That was a stunning moment, hearing those words from a 20-year veteran of the FBI. 7 months ago, with our attorney, we briefed a U.S. attorney and 2 assistant U.S. attorneys, federal prosecutors from the Department of Justice. The U.S. attorney told us he would forward the information to the Office of Public Integrity at the Department of Justice. That U.S. attorney followed up with us months later to see if the Office of Public Integrity had contacted us. They never did. Smartmatic, Dominion, and their media allies will immediately point to the fact that Fox News settled with Dominion, paying U.S. $787.5 million, and that Newsmax just settled with Smartmatic this past week in a defamation case as evidence of Smartmatic and Dominion innocence. In Fox News against Dominion, we briefed Fox News trial attorneys. Our lawyers were present when we did that. Fox News corporate officers refused to be briefed directly for that case. They wanted plausible deniability. Fox News corporate knew we had significant evidence and, more importantly, witnesses. When all the facts are known, Fox News executives and board will have to explain why they went down on their knees for enemies of the U.S. We briefed Newsmax's corporate attorney as well. Though their settlement with Smartmatic is not public, any settlement with either company and their masters, the Cartel del Sol, the Cuban DGI, the CCP, makes it more difficult for those of us trying to defend the country and our democracy. I ask everyone to go to the website, stolenolectionsfacts.com. That's stolenolectionsfacts.com. Here you will find articles and original source documents supporting the claim that Smartmatic and Dominion are employing a source code created and owned by the Venezuelan regime with hardware manufactured in China that alters election results. I will follow with other videos and statements to inform and educate others. Best-selling author Ralph Pizzullo has written the book Stolen Elections: The Plot to Destroy Democracy. It will be released in late October. Mr. Pizzullo interviewed my whistleblower associate and I, and several of our key witnesses. This is a must-read to understand one of the greatest crimes ever committed against the United States. This is an assault on our democracy. Again, go to the website, stolenolectionsfacts.com. Look at the timeline, the documents, and the original sources that are attached. Thank you for your time. God bless America. We go forward.
So hopefully you all saw and heard what that guy just said. Now, he's one of the top guys in the CIA, and a whistleblower. So he is legitimately sticking up for the American people, telling them and telling us that those machines, that the whole of the election, I mean, again, Trump has just created an executive order completely banning mail-in ballots, right? This is why it's important that people vote, because we need the people to vote to come out and say what their vote is, right? And my opinion, Advance UK and Reform, they are both British establishment. The only people that are actually standing up constitutionally for the English, for the farmers, and for your rights are the English Constitution Party and the English Constitution Society. That's it. And people need to understand what the difference is. Let me stop sharing that and go back to my normal screen, right? So hopefully you can see me a bit better because I've switched the lights on. But the problem with the lights is I don't get any sleep once I've been whacked in the face from them. But did everyone understand that? Now, the next thing to understand is something else, which I hope I'm going to bring up. But everyone should be moving away, not forward, towards Ben Habib. Ben Habib describes himself as a British Pakistani. He's not interested in England whatsoever and has banned us effectively from his party, right? That man's no good whatsoever. Whereas Reform have done a similar thing, so they're both on the same. They're if you want to talk about splitting a vote, that is splitting a vote. Whereas whether you like everything he says or not, Rupert Lowe is creating a movement, and he speaks of England, right? So restore Britain can mean restore Scotland, restore England, restore Wales, etc. But the crucial thing is the regionalisation of England, right? The only person that speaks about this that I've ever heard speak about it is Dominic Cummings, right? So all I'm doing is telling you the truth, and I'm telling you from the knowledge I've got, that is exactly what we should be doing. So everyone should be out there looking at it. Let me see if I can find the latest element to this. Let's see if there's a. Now, there's something else that Venezuela did, which is it disarmed the people, and people need to understand that. Right. So one of the things that I want to put on there is First Lady letter to Putin. People need to understand this because they're not seeing what's going on in the background. Right. So just to make sure everyone's got it right. So on your screen, in about 2 seconds, I'm going to show you this letter to Putin. And this is something that you should all see, right? This is from Melania Trump, First Lady of the United States of America, August the 15th, 2025. Dear President Putin, every child shares the same quiet dreams in their heart. Whether born randomly into nation's rustic countryside or a magnificent city centre, they dream of love, possibility, and safety from danger. As parents, it is our duty to nurture the next generation's hope. As leaders, the responsibility to sustain our children extends beyond the comfort of a few undeniably. We must strive to paint a dignity-filled world for all, so that every soul may wake to peace, and so that the future itself is perfectly guarded. A simple yet profound concept, Mr. Putin, as I am sure you agree, is that each generation's descendants begin their lives with a purity, an innocence which stands above geography, government, and ideology. Yet in today's world, some children are forced to carry a quiet laughter, untouched by the darkness around them, a silent defiance against the forces that can potentially claim their future. Mr. Putin, you can single-handedly restore their melodic laughter. In protecting the innocence of these children, you will do more than serve Russia alone. You serve humanity itself. Such a bold idea transcends all human division, and you, Mr. Putin, are fit to implement this vision with a stroke of pen today. It is time. Sincerely, Melania Trump, the White House. So hopefully everyone has just seen that on there. Do you understand that she's standing up for the children? She's protecting children. Do you also understand that the president of Russia, not the USSR, of Russia, gave her a specific ring and that ring was of one of the, say, the grandmothers of the Tsars. It was like she was receiving, I'm not suggesting it was, I don't know. It was like she was receiving the ring of her grandmother. And I want you to understand something. The Tsars were murdered, in effect, by the British communists. This is an attack on England. We are not British, we are English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, and Cornish. I want to emphasise to everyone that the English hold out their hand of friendship to the Scots, the Irish, the Welsh, and the Cornish. It is the British that will stab you in the back, not an Englishman. And when you understand the difference of who and what we are, and understand that the people who have created the perpetual wars are the British imperial system. I am not a communist. I am not a fascist. I am an Englishman. And I am speaking to the people in this country to understand what it is that we stand for. And we stand for peace. What does peace mean? It means that you must be capable of violence. We are not harmless, we are peaceful. And if you trigger us, we will go to war. But the English must take back their nation. Their country is called England. Their people are called English. We are indigenous, but we accept other people into our culture. We do not accept external cultures, which is what the British Fabian Muslim Brotherhood are seeking to do by destroying England. And England is the beating heart of the American nation because their constitution came from England. It is the word of God. And once you all understand who and what we are, you will understand forever that the English are the good guys, not the bad guys. That is why we are oppressed and suppressed by the British. And you should all understand that. Is that so? Again, I just wanted to emphasize there are three major things that's happened. One is that President Trump has now said no more mail-in ballots, and they're removing the technology that has corrupted the elections. That is why one of the reasons why our case was so important in Runcorn and Hillsby, and Reform are not interested in fact that there has been corruption in that election as long as they get elected. That's not the way this system works. The second and most important thing is he is completely legalizing cannabis. It has a number of medical, as a herb, medical implications for the people. The third, and for me the most important thing, is Melania Trump has stood up and said we need to protect the children, right? And that is exactly what she did by putting out her hand of friendship to the Russian people. That is what you've got to remember. And that the British are the ones who have created these wars, that have sent us as men and women into battle for them before. And the people of England need to rise. Do not fly a Union flag. You need to bin the Union flag, right? And raise the English flag and your county and shire flags. They are the only flags that you should be flying in England. Not the Palestinian flag, not the Israeli flag, not any other flag. The only place that we care about is England. So with that said, I am going to love you and leave you. I doubt very much if the local pub is still open, but I have got to put some of this meat away. And don't forget, if you want ivermectin, you want healthy discussions on anything, come back to me. But everyone should understand one thing, right? The English are a peaceful nation. That does not mean that we cannot use extreme violence, we will. But we, as the English people, are not harmless, and there is a difference. Harmless means you will never fight back and you will surrender. We will never surrender. And the people of this country need to know who and what we are and what we stand for. So again, there are three major issues. There's a lot more coming out. For anyone that used to follow Q, if you read a particular book, Custodians of the Truth, you will see at page 86, I think it is, they tell you who Q is. And Q is a hidden message and the real scripture from Jesus Christ. And that, I believe, is who Q is, right? Q is presenting to you the true scriptures of Jesus Christ. And one part of that scripture is the truth will set you free. So don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. The English are God's nation. We are a Christian nation, and we need to stand up and fly our English flag. We need to rely on our English Constitution, which is God's law. We need to go back to the principles of Jesus Christ. That's it. So again, good night. God bless everyone. Don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. And raise the flag.